My name is Jim Marshall, and I just love cycling. In fact, I cycled over 11,000 kilometers last year, and it just happens I'm legally blind.
Changing Lanes, Jim Marshall's story.
I became blind due to glaucoma and optic nerve damage.
Okay, one more time.
I laughed. I became blind due to glaucoma. Due to glaucoma? No, I can't say it. Glaucoma. Who was I before this? I was a very active cyclist. I was working in the computer industry. I also ran my own business for 17 years. I was very active in coaching, in exercising, walking, hiking, biking, playing competitive racquetball. Pauline and I have been married for 44 years. We have worked together, lived together, played together. You name it, we've probably tried doing it together from day one.
My name is Pauline Marshall. I am married to Jim. Life before Jim's vision loss was indeed very different than now. We've always been an active couple. Our children have always been active growing up. Jim was always accident prone. He's always been very athletic, and he's always been very motivated to push himself to the maximum. And so it went from knees to shoulders to hips to Achilles tendons and right on.
I believe I was accident prone. People in junior high school used to call me Evel Knievel II because there wasn't anything I wouldn't try doing. But sometimes when you push yourself, you push it a little too far, too fast, and you have an accident. I was a very driven person, and so even with the accidents that I had, we got through it together.
Jim played racquetball in a league of men for many years, but then eventually he had his hips replaced, and racquetball is a very stop and start sport, so he had to give that one up and find something new to replace it.
So then what do you replace that with? So I had to find another way of fulfilling that need, and fulfilling that need came with cycling. Let me cycle.
Jim always cycled from the time we were married, and I didn't. It wasn't until our children were grown up and had left the roost that Jim suggested to me that perhaps I buy my first bike. So instead of buying a bike, we bought a tandem road bike so that I could ride with him. So that was the start, and then soon after that, he encouraged me to buy my own bike. So that kind of started it for me, and then the passion grew the more I did it.
The trip to Palm Springs, we were looking for that place to find a getaway, an escape, so that we could escape the winters here and still have our cycling and hiking. And we finally settled on Palm Springs area.
At the end of December 2017, we packed up our car to make our annual trip to La Quinta, California. We rode our bikes and we hiked to our heart's content all of January. In fact, Jim put on over 1,200 kilometers on his bike. One day we were out on our tandem road bike together, and he hadn't told me that his eyes were deteriorating as far as his vision. They were only looking red and inflamed.
It was a beautiful day. We were out for a lovely ride. We decided that after we had made it through an intersection, that we just needed to pull over. As I tried to pull over, that's when I realized how bad my vision was getting. And I hit the curb. Now, we didn't go down, but it jolted us bad enough and hard enough that I sort of said, my vision is deteriorating more than what I'm believing it has. The day of the accident hitting the curb was a day that probably changed our lives the most.
We always thought Jim's vision loss was because of the red and inflammation, which can cause a problem in the Palm Springs area because it's so dry. So we always thought it would be fixed. And he went to 5 ophthalmologists in Palm Springs.
Various drugs, various drops were tried to correct the infection or whatever they thought was happening. This is hard because it's in the past, and I always try to leave that out. But it's a reality. It's what's happened. And when they told us that on one of the last visits that we made that I had to go into LA for surgery, we said, no, we can't go for surgery down in the United States, down in Palm Springs, LA. We got to get home. When we flew home, we actually thought that we were coming back and our good ophthalmologist here was going to be able to prescribe a new drop or a new pill or something that was going to change everything back for me. We ended up making 7 trips to Vancouver for various eye surgeries. After all those trips and them trying to keep the vision that I have, we were told that it's not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get worse. It was a tough day, a very tough day. And I remember leaving the doctor's office, and I just broke down, started to cry, because it was now reality that this is not going to get any better. Emotionally, I was not in a great place at the beginning. I was still blaming other people and blaming myself and blaming anybody and anyone that would want to listen or understand what we were going through. And I had to come to grips with it that it wasn't my fault. It wasn't anything that we had done. It just happened. And so once I got through that grieving and that emotion of being mad at the world, then you start to look forward to what can we do now to make this better.
We'll be right back with Changing Lanes. We now return to Changing Lanes.
Nice, bright, sunny day. My name is Rob Taylor. I've known Jim for 7 years, and a couple of years very active through the Vision Mate program, and we've become friends, very good friends. Vision Mate program was designed, as I understood it, was designed to give those that have sight impairments somebody to go into their home or somebody to be involved with them a little bit to help them out do things where they need sight. As a Vision Mate, one of the key activities that I did with Jim is we get together every week and we would do little chores, little projects around the home, but predominantly we'd walk. That's probably the big thing we do is we'll go for a walk and we'll go for coffee somewhere and come back. So that becomes our routine. Yeah, and they're doing whatever they're doing, recognize, so they just want us to have.
The way I see, if you can imagine, is having a very thick piece of wax paper in front of my face. It's like looking through a waterfall on the other side.
Anyway, so that's it. So now that I see what it is, I can try and make it a little bit bigger on yours, in your machine.
Rob would be there to help me with the computer programs. He's helped me with anything I need help with. He's been there. And he's been a real godsend.
Yeah.
Rob is a friend more than anything to me. We do enjoy wine making and wine bottling.
In we go.
The routine of when you go into the shop, how do they have it set up? So a visually impaired person, like myself, can go into the store and help, you know.
When we arrive at the wine shop, we definitely have our own areas of expertise.
The system is I take the bottle, I fill it up. There's a cue that the bottle has been filled by this vent that comes up, the sound. So I know I can take the bottle off, put the cork in the machine, put the bottle in the machine, close the door, and you hear the cork go down and you hear the cork go up, and then you know that you can open the door and start the next process.
Box over there, right, to put the bottle.
Now, you know, it did come with its challenges because, you know, you might take it off the filling rack too soon and have a little bit of spillage, but you soon learn that you don't want to spill any of that good wine. The funny part was for us, I think it was our second time in the store, they put myself at a different station. Instead of me filling the bottles, they put me at where you're supposed to put the labels on. Well, how do you put a label on a bottle of wine and make sure it's straight? So some of those labels didn't go on very straight, but they still went on. We knew what wine was, yeah. That was hilarious, that one, yeah.
Very nice.
Oh no, that's very nice. I can handle that one.
We always say that. Oh, we should have some cucumbers too.
There are a few accidents that happen in the kitchen, but I still have all my fingers, so that's good.
So we'll have these burgers for
Okay.
lunch if you cut up the vegetables. Oh, by the way, do you mind turning on the oven, please?
The oven?
I took it as another challenge, like, okay, how do I turn the stove on? How do I preheat the oven?
And what do you want it for?
300 would be great.
So Pauline showed me how to do it. Then now what I've done, it's repetition.
And start. Okay.
Okay,
Good to
that's
go.
it, go?
Yeah, that's good.
I heard it beep.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
I find that even helping in the kitchen, you can still do stuff. You just have to do it a little differently.
Yeah, just remember to cut my carrots into little pieces, please.
Yes, there.
The number one biggest challenge is that Jim had to quit driving, and I had never driven. And all of a sudden I was put into a position where I had no choice but to drive. And that was hard. That was hard, very hard.
That was a huge challenge for me. Even to get into the back seat of a car and let somebody else drive. I had to do a process of getting into a car because I always thought somebody was going to hit us from the side.
Other challenges have been just day-to-day functions. You know, when we moved, Jim had to learn new routes to walk. We had to clear out our home. You know, our home is very clutter-free now. We don't have tables in the middle of the living room that he can trip over.
And as long as nobody moves stuff, then I can move around fairly well now. I don't even use the cane in the house. I use the cane outside the house. I always say that I get a little cocky every once in a while because you run into a doorway or you run into a cupboard that was left open. But that's the challenge. learning a new area, learning where I can walk to, learning my own routes in and around my neighborhood, learning where the mailbox is. Like, what do you mean you gotta find the mailbox? Well, think about it. You're in the dark. Put a blindfold on and try to find your mailbox.
Now he does it every day. That's his job. Besides, he kind of likes visiting the neighbors.
There's so many things that I am proud of, but probably the most is getting through. And I am proud of that. And I'm proud that Pauline and I, we're still together. She's been with me from day one, and she always will be. I have that. I know that.
When you're going left or
we're
right.
veering right, and there's a narrow rock section.
Yep.
And I want you to
A big thing that I miss is being able to see my wife. Other things that you miss are the sunrises, the sunsets. We used to go on a hike to go and see the sunrise. Now I can't see it.
You feel a little breeze.
Yeah. It all has to be described to him. So he misses out on all of those things, and yet he's got this amazing attitude and strength inside. So the sun is just above the mountains. The mountains are black as can be.
Yeah.
And then the sun is just a yellow glow. I'm going to take a photo like I usually do, Jim.
Okay.
And then when we get home,
We'll blow it up.
I can blow it up when we...
Okay.
We'll be right back with Changing Lanes. We now return to Changing Lanes.
Perfect. My name's Ryan Marshall, and I'm Jim's youngest son. Yeah, you're right in the middle, just on top of the hill. My dad and I have been golfing together since I was about 16, and we still golf together every year when I come to Kelowna.
And I enjoy it because it gives Ryan and I some one-on-one time, and it also gets us out into the fresh air and enjoying the walk.
That's to the pin. It's just a little different. So now I have to, when I golf with him, I walk him to the holes, I walk him to the tee boxes, I have to line him up to his ball, make sure he's facing in the right direction, and then just remind him to swing with tempo.
Was that enough?
It's a challenge, both for myself and whoever's trying to line me up, because they're telling me a little bit left, a little bit right, so that I get lined up straight down the fairway, hopefully so that the ball will land in the fairway. Now, the tendency for most golfers is we always lift our head to look to see where the ball's going. Well, I still have that tendency sometimes to try to look to see where the ball's going, but it doesn't help. I can't see it anyway, so.
Make sure you push through the ball. My dad has become a better golfer, I believe, since he became legally blind. So I think he's actually cut off about 10 strokes from his game because he's just relying on other people and lining them up. He's a bit worse when I'm his caddy because I might try to put him in the wrong direction sometimes just so I could still beat him. There it is.
Oh!
It's in the hole.
There you go.
I'm most proud of my dad in his continuation to live life. He hasn't stopped doing the things he loves to do. His life is just different now, but he's still enjoying everything he can.
Zwift is the best indoor cycling virtual riding platform where we get on our trainers and we join in with other cyclists, and as you pedal the pedals, your avatar turns. I'm Corey Marshall and I'm Jim's son.
It's an 8-kilometer climb, 1,000 meters of vertical.
8 kilometers solid?
With Dad and I, we share that passion of cycling, and I remember being a 14-year-old kid and him taking me on my first outdoor bike ride. And he's always cycled. I mean, when we grew up, he cycled into and out of work every day. And so cycling's been always a part of his life. And as a result, a big part of my life.
Is that you up front?
I'm just behind you.
It's a bit of a challenge, Dad being based in Canada and my family being based down here in New Zealand as we've gone through the last few years. I remember having to leave Kelowna after a very short time with Dad, immediately after his diagnosis. And the one thing I knew I could leave him was something that would keep him active, something that would make sure he never stopped cycling. And so we went down to the local cyclist shop and I bought him his first cycle trainer, and I made sure he was absolutely set up on Zwift. And we set up a little FaceTime next to the Zwift so we can communicate with one another and see one another.
Well, just my yellow body.
He helped me set up right away because there's no way he was having me not being able to ride, because he knew how much it meant to me.
That's why we set up this weekly Zwift ride. And it allows us to reconnect, establish where each other are at, help each other through any challenges that we're having, just talk and ride our bikes while we're doing so. And it's become an extremely important part of my weekly schedule and his, and something that we will never stop doing, I don't believe.
I made it.
Oh, I have my morning coffee and he has to work pretty hard is how it normally goes. But he still tries to give me a nudge. You know, there's the sprint championships and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden he'll try and take off and go up the road, and I'll be drinking my coffee and I'll have to work hard. But I try not to let him beat me so that he always has a goal to keep coming back.
See you next Tuesday.
Okay. All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
Love you.
Bye now.
See you.
The current tandem bike that we own is called a TerraTrike.
The TerraTrike is a tandem bike built for two, but it's recumbent seated. So there's two wheels in the front and one wheel in the back, and the both of us have to pedal in order to make it move. Pauline's the captain, I'm just the stoker.
I do all the guiding up front. I am responsible for braking. Jim sits on the back and he is responsible for all of the gear changing, the signaling. Yeah, we go everywhere on it.
So I'm still riding, and I'm riding probably more than what I did when I had vision. It helps me get through my day. It fills that void to be able to do something active, and that's it for me, is the bike. I'm still riding, I'm still golfing, I'm still married, I'm doing everything that I can. The key is keep going, keep active, keep enjoying, keep doing those little things that make you happy. You can't stop. You just got to keep moving and moving forward and keep the positive attitude. Does that make sense?
Produced by Ascent Films, Inc. Producer, Location Audio, Lucy Bacala. Director, Cinematographer, Yuri Bacala. Editors, Yuri Bacala, Stephen Anturi. Narrator, Mark Phoenix. Original music, Stu Goldberg. Colorist, Stephen Anturi. Special thanks, Lewis Ryan, Lily Marshall, The Laurel Packing House, Mission Creek Wine Cellars, Gallagher's Canyon Golf and Country Club. Integrated Described Video Specialist, Simone Cupid. Content Development Specialist, Sylvie Faquette. Coordinating Producer, Jennifer Johnson. Director Production, Kara Nye. Director Programming, Brian Perdue. Vice President Content Development and Programming, John Melville. President and CEO, David Arrington. Copyright 2021, Accessible Media Inc.